welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am going to be sharing what I do for sourdough bread, what I use, all of that stuff, the process, maybe a couple of tricks that I've learned, and things that maybe I need help with. So if you are a sourdough bread expert, feel free to leave all of the tips and tricks. I definitely am still learning, but I did want to share with you what I do. I feel like there are a million different ways that you can do this. What video was that? There was a video, maybe it was my day in the life, that I posted about my sourdough starter. I have both of them here. I started my starter with whole wheat kamut flour, but then I have been feeding it with just organic all-purpose flour. I have made a couple of loaves from this starter. Delicious. Definitely better than just straight kamut sourdough in my family's opinion. So yeah, and then there's obviously going to be a long rise time with this. So during that time, we are going to finish up our second Christmas tree, really kind of the main Christmas tree in our living room. So I'll show you guys a little bit of that. So to start off, I will tell you Hope's Table. This is one of, if not my favorite cookbook. This was actually gifted to me by one of my husband's cousins. We are kindred spirits. And so she gifted this to me, and it is one of my favorites, like I said, because the recipes are simple, the steps are simple, the ingredients are simple and easy. And it's a lot of food that we eat on a very regular basis. And yeah, I love it. So in here, she has an easy sourdough bread recipe. She gives you different ways that you can use the dough. So she gives you for bread, for like an artisan bread. So a little bit of a heavier, kind of chewier loaf that you would use maybe for soups and chili and stuff like that. And then she also gives you the steps here for pizza dough. So I am just going to do bread because this to me is the best sandwich loaf bread. I have tried, I don't even know how many recipes for a good sandwich loaf, and none of them have been as good as this one. We are going to start off with this, and I will kind of walk you guys through the steps. And yeah, so let's get to it. Okay, so first things first, I do use my KitchenAid. Makes things a lot easier. I have made bread by hand using a dough hook, like a Danish dough hook. You can do it that way if you want to, but I'm just gonna use my KitchenAid. Obviously, you do need a dough hook. I do not add this to my stand until I have gotten all of my ingredients in. It just makes things a lot easier. So first thing, we are going to start with 2 cups of unfed sourdough starter, okay? And obviously I have some left over in here. I didn't quite have 2 cups. I had just under 2 cups, so I'm gonna try my best to get everything out of here that I can. So I'm gonna use this same measuring cup for 1 cup of water and kind of mix it around and try and get as much of that starter out as I can. Next up is half a cup of milk. And then I'm also going to need 2 tablespoons of melted butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that in the microwave for a couple of seconds, and then I will put my butter, or I will put my honey in and then grab my butter. All right, so my butter is in the microwave melting. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of honey. This is just local raw honey that we like. All right, 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We're just gonna scrape that in. Is just kind of stir this around a little bit before I get all of my flour in there, just to, because my sourdough starter was a little bit thicker than I actually prefer. I prefer it to be a little thin just because it's a little easier to pour and work with. So I'm just kind of breaking it up a little bit, very gently. All right, so at this point, I'll show you. You can kind of see. This is what your mixture should look like, sort of. And now we are going to add in our flour. So I'm going to add in, the recipe calls for between 5 and 5.5 cups of flour. And it's just going to depend on a lot of things. If you have made bread, you know that temperature and humidity, and it seems like time of day, all of those things matter. So I start with 5 cups, let that mix really good, and I kind of see the consistency and see if it pulls away real nicely from the bowl. And I'll just kind of slowly add flour in until I get it where I think it needs to be. I will now add my dough hook, and always start very slow. Ask me how I know. All right, so it's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to lift this up and just kind of check here. I just want to kind of scrape all of this down and see really kind of what we're working with. So I will kind of lift all of this up and check the bottom to make sure that it's actually, you know, it's gotten all of the honey and all of that stuff in. It looks pretty good, so we are going to, yeah, looks good. So now I'm considering it, all of the ingredients mixed well. So now I will start the 3 minutes of kneading. All right, 3 minutes is up. So I will take this, where's my spatula? All right, scrape all of this down. And then I'm going to cover this just with a dish towel and let it rest for 30 minutes. Okay, our rest is done. Our 30-minute rest is done. So now we will, here I'll show you, maybe it's always difficult to get off. So that's what we've got right now. So now we're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of salt. I get gray sea salt, and that's what I add. So, teaspoon, 1, 2, and half. All right, and then we are going to knead this for 5 more minutes. All right, 5 minutes is up. Now we are going to, I'm gonna get a big bowl. I'm gonna put some oil in it. I'm going to put my dough in there, and then it will rise for 4 hours. All right, and now we will get back to trying to get our Christmas tree decorated. So I'll just do like a little fast forward thing of some of this, and I will meet you guys back in the kitchen once our 4 hours is up and we're ready for shaping and putting in loaves. Been roughly 4 hours, and so it is time to shape our dough into loaves. So that's all that it says in the cookbook. That's what I've seen most of the time. It just says to shape it into loaves, you know, divide it in however many they want and then shape them. I am quite sure there are also many different ways that you can shape loaves. The way that I do it is actually a combination of a couple of different ways that I have seen bread be made. Some of it is from Lizzie at the Food Nanny. Some of it is from Hannah at Ballerina Farms. I just kind of throw things together and what kind of makes sense. So yeah, again, if you have any tips or if there's maybe a better way or an easier way, feel free to leave that. But this is just the way that I do it, that I've found kind of works. I have my all-purpose flour that I'm gonna use to dust with. Everything that I can link for you guys, I will have linked, including the cookbook and stuff like that. This is just a scale I got off of Amazon. I honestly don't even know okay, I guess maybe the brand is Greater Goods. I don't know, it's just a small little kitchen scale. If I can find this one or something similar, I'll link it. And then I have a dough scraper, and then obviously my dough. And then I have I'm really good at doing that. I have 2 9x5 loaf pans, and I have already sprayed them with some Pam with flour. Yes, so here we go. So this next part has no rise time because it can vary widely. So a trick that I learned from Shelby over at on Instagram is to which the recipe does suggest wrapping them in plastic bags. So I will do that. But Shelby had talked about putting the bread in the microwave with just a coffee cup of hot water. And that actually helps it rise a little bit faster. You don't turn the microwave on or anything like that. It just it's kind of like a proofing box. Hopefully it won't take too long. You just want your loaves about 1.5 inches above the rim of your loaf pan. So that is that. I will stick these in the microwave and we will be back together once they are ready to go in the oven. Okay, bread is finally risen enough. I'll show you guys this is what it looks like when I put it in the microwave. So we just take these off. If you want to, you can spray the tops, or really it's the bottom of the bag, if you don't want it to potentially stick and you want, you know, a nice pretty top. I usually don't. But it's whatever you prefer. So I'll take these out. The oven is already preheated to 375. And it's, what time is it? It's 6:45. So it took quite a while for these to rise. I do have some bubbles up here. Those are fine. When I score the tops, I'll make cuts through those so that I don't create those holes that I was talking about earlier. All right, so I will put these in the oven again, 375 for 25 to 30 minutes, just until you get a nice kind of a golden brown top. And then we will take them out and immediately move them to a cooling rack. Is it. They will sit to cool for an hour or so here. One will go onto the counter to be eaten, and then one will get wrapped up and go in the freezer. It usually only lasts a handful of days, maybe a week, and then we will take the other loaf out. But yeah, so that is how I make sourdough bread. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you soon.